thinking that he was going to start laughing too, to tell me it was a joke, but he didn't. He said, "You think it's so funny? You think it's funny? You think you're a funny?" And he slapped me again. Like, it was clear it wasn't a joke anymore. And I stopped laughing, but I didn't know what else to do. You know, I didn't know what to do. You would think you would have a response, but I, as a woman, had never been hit like that. I'm an adult, and I'm sitting next to the man I love, and he slapped me for no reason, it seemed like, and I missed the point. It was that stupid. Second slap, I know he's not kidding, but I don't know what else to say or do, so I just stared at him. I didn't say anything. I didn't react. I didn't move or freak out or defend myself or say, "What are you doing? You're crazy." I just stared at him because I didn't know what else to do. And he slaps me one more time. Hard. I lose my balance. At this point, we're sitting next to each other on the edge of the couch, or I was on the edge of the couch. And I'm all of a sudden realizing that the worst thing has just happened to me that could possibly happen to you. I realized that I wish so much he had said he was joking.
All right, well, I'll go first on this one. Here's where she really stiffens up, and her illustrators just disappear almost completely. If we remember from what Albert Bray talked about in his studies or went over, as someone who's being honest and more likely to use more illustrators. These are illustrators, people emphasizing specific words or phrases. Now, although her voice gets louder, her cadence speeds up, and her tone is just a little bit higher. And she's talking about something graphic and it's action-packed, but we see almost zero illustrators and gestures. Almost nothing, which is odd for her, because in a little while she just blows up into almost one of those not clowns, but those balloon people you see in the parking lot that are just flowing everywhere. She gets that big. In this, we're seeing all the right facial expressions. We're seeing anger, contempt, disgust, frustration, hopelessness, disagreement, and then one quick shot of happiness while she's talking about not freaking out. So this is loaded with everything we need to see from a body language perspective that shows the emotions are congruent with her story, with what she's talking about. Everything looks as it should. But they're so on point, they seem odd. They're too on point. That's what gives you that odd little feeling where you go, why do I feel like or know like something's not right here? What's giving me that feeling on this? In each section of her story, from paragraph to paragraph, you see facial expressions, and they're huge. Like Chase was saying earlier, man, they're big. However, facial expressions don't go from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, and change like that. They morph into the other ones. We're not seeing any morphing here. We're just seeing them change like flipping switches on this, because she knows now what to do for those emotions, what facial expressions are supposed to be, or that we expect to see, that we usually see in those kind of things. One right after the other, just blocks, just sections, no morphing at all. So if you're getting that weird feeling about that, ladies, women, that's what I'm talking about. It's going to start feeling even weird. It's going to get even worse here in a few minutes. So keep watching for these throughout this video. When you see her expressions not morph, they just click from one to the other. Pay close attention to that. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, remember we talked about a baseline about a year and a half ago. We covered her for a 2016 deposition, and all these lines indicate, just a straight line indicates in her that she's asking for approval. And then she has two lines, just two small lines when she's showing grief. You can go watch our other video and see it very clearly. This is the best resolution they had this one in, so this is what we get. Again, she's illustrating, yes, Scott, but she never illustrates the slap. There's never an impact. There's never that violence thing, which makes me think, why? Of all the things I would illustrate, it would be a draw or slap or something. She uses that transition language, remember, the ums and ahs, as she's getting into the situation where she doesn't know what to say. She uses ums and ahs. Otherwise, she has slower cadence than she did in the beginning. And she does that same thing you pointed out last time, Scott. It's interesting. She has a request for approval and drawn down sides of the mouth. That's odd. We usually see grief and other emotion that's associated. It looks wrong. Then the only place I do see any real concern and grief and anger is when she said, "I didn't move to defend myself." The illustrators are missing for these slaps. The illustrators are missing for everything else. But she's explaining the couch wonderfully with illustrators. She's taking her hands and showing you the real estate of where she's at. And she edits to tell you why she was able to be slapped off the couch. You can see, I got slapped, knocked off the couch. Well, how does that happen if you're sitting in the middle of a couch? She goes out of her way to say, well, we were sitting on the, well, no, I was sitting on the edge.
At this point, we're sitting next to each other on the edge of the couch, or I was on the edge of the couch.
That seems like an edit you needed to make, that if I slapped Chase and he fell off the couch after he shot me, he would say, Greg slapped me and I fell off the couch. He wouldn't say because I was sitting on the edge. That wouldn't be the way the story went. It's just not the way we go. Mark, what do you got?
What is interesting for me is there is a very big difference in her voice and fading facts, as Scott says. So fading facts is when stuff just kind of just peters out at the end, like that. And that is often a sense of somebody not being confident, let's say, in their answer. Many reasons why somebody might not be confident, but we find it shows up quite a bit with deception. Anyway, she does that on what she wasn't saying. So she says, you know, what I didn't say was, what are you doing? You're crazy.
I say, what are you doing? You're crazy. I just stared at him.
She doesn't even finish that word. Now, at the same time, she's telling us what she didn't say. So maybe the fading facts work in that. Maybe the tone shift works in that. But on its own, well, we need to put it with a whole bunch of different factors there. Another factor to bring in.
You would think you would have a response, but I, as a woman, had never been hit like that.
I, as a woman, so she's very clear about that, have never been hit like that. Well, does that mean as a man, that's okay? Like, men hit other men like that, but as a woman, that's not expected. So there's some real clear clarity around an expectation of what should happen around men and women. I would say the same. Some good kind of chin boss action there, some good lip compression, some good sadness in some of the right places. But my worry is still around this tense shift, because even now I'm starting to go, well, when's she going to do it? When is she not going to do it? What is the pattern of tense shift here? And it's going to start for me to get even more chaotic and even more difficult to really work out when I think it's going to show up and when it's not going to show up. So wait for that. Chase, what do you think?
Totally agree. And this tense shifting is actually going to get predictable in a few minutes. It's going to come up during very specific times in a minute, because she's getting more used to it. And I think this present tense, when there's a shift to present tense, it's shifting to the screenplay. I do this. I do this. I experience this. There's a screenplay going on there. And this downward turned mouth with the raised eyebrows is the traditional clown face, and wanting to share that grief or share that experience, and getting somebody else to share some kind of emotion. And she's layering in truth and deception here. There's more vanishing perpetrator, slap me in the face. It's really strange. The first slap is past tense. The second slap is present tense. Then there's a shift to past tense again when she's discussing how she felt about it. Then she goes back to present tense for the third slap.
And he slaps me one more
back
time.
to past tense for her reaction to that slap. Then we go back to present tense for realizing the worst thing has just happened to me. Then there's a shift to past perfect. I wished so much he had said he was joking. And this is a major problem. I have been doing this a long time. I've analyzed a bunch of videos. I've never seen this much tense shifting in my lifetime. On record, I'm saying it here. I've never seen anything like this. Past, present, over and over like this. And then facial expression shifting rapidly between emotions. I've never seen anything like this in my life. So I would bet that there is a very, very high likelihood of deception here in this story. That's all I've got.
I'm going to bet that this trying to grow a mustache thing is probably the worst decision I've made in the last 15 years.
It's going to be
No,
the
you need
major
to shift
amount
to
of comments.
present tense for that. It's the worst decision you're making.
I think what you should do is go put on one of those filters so it'll look
Yeah,
like
take
it's
it
just
off
part of
with
the
a
filter.
That's what I'll do when we come back. I'll have that on for a few minutes. Yeah.
No one will know.
They'll know.
Yeah, they'll know.
Thinking that he was going to start laughing too to tell me it was a joke, but he didn't. He said, "You think it's so funny? You think it's funny? You think you're a funny?" And he slapped me again. Like, it was clear it wasn't a joke anymore. And I stopped laughing, but I didn't know what else to do. You know, I didn't know what to do. You would think you would have a response, but I, as a woman, had never been hit like that. I'm an adult, and I'm sitting next to the man I love, and he slapped me for no reason, it seemed like, and I missed the point. It was that stupid. Second slap, I know he's not kidding, but I don't know what else to say or do, so I just stared at him. I didn't say anything. I didn't react. I didn't move or freak out or defend myself or say, "What are you doing? You're crazy." I just stared at him because I didn't know what else to do. And he slaps me one more time. Hard. I lose my balance. At this point, we're sitting next to each other on the edge of the couch, or I was on the edge of the couch. And I'm all of a sudden realizing that the worst thing has just happened to me that could possibly happen to you. I realized that I wish so much he had said he was joking.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.